Sports presents live in its 30th anniversary season the Professional Bowlers Tour. Today from Windsor Locks, it's a $160,000 Tums Classic. In our first match, it's Bob Benoit of Topeka. He'll go against Bob Vespi of Plantation, Florida. The winner of that match will meet Jimmy Keeth of West Palm Beach. In our semifinal game, we'll see Dave Ferraro in his 7th appearance this year. And our tournament leader is Walter Ray WiIlliams Jr. of Stockton, California. That's our outstanding field of finalists on today's Professional Bowlers Tour telecast. The Professional Bowlers Tour has stopped again in the Hartford area, in Windsor Locks, for the $160,000 Tums Classic. You know, Connecticut is a historical treasury. Today we've come to Woodstock Hill, a charming village where we're visiting Roseland Cottage, the Pink House. Flamingo pink it is. A Gothic revival summer home built in 1846 for merchant and publisher Henry Bowen, who grew up in the Woodstock area. The cottage with original furnishings is the center of several buildings. Now this barn houses one of the oldest bowling alleys in all of America. And here it is. Regulation length, wooden pins, old bowling balls, a deep channel or gutter as we call it, and look at that ball return. Mr. Bowen threw lavish 4th of July parties here on this property, and it is said that he hosted 4 presidents: McKinley, Harrison, Hayes, and Grant. At one of the parties, President Grant, it is said, with his first ball, rolled a perfect strike. With that, he lit up a cigar. He was interrupted by Mr. Bowen, who said, "Sir, on this property, we do not smoke or drink." With that, President Grant moved to a nearby hotel. That's the story here anyway, but it's a serene corner of Connecticut. Bradley Bold is not quite as old. Our colleague, Nelson Burton Jr. is there, so let's join him.
Thank you, Chris Schenkel. Those pins look mighty tough to knock down there at the Bowen House, but they're pretty easy here at Bradley Bowl. This is the 15th stop on the ABC telecast of the PBA Tour in 1992, and the 19th time we've been in Windsor Locks in the Bradley Bowl. Now this week we have 2 big stories. Number 1, it's the last chance to qualify for the Firestone Tournament of Champions. 2 players in our field need to qualify, Vespi and Keith. Only one of them obviously can make it. But the great story was the scoring, and the man in the announce booth did most of the scoring this week, Walter Ray WiIlliams Jr. Walter, you had some great rounds.
Yeah, I was fortunate this week. The condition was just right for me. I'd love this every week.
Well, you had a great 4th round, and look at you, bowled 300, 230, another 300, 251 average, 7 wins. Phenomenal to get to the number 1 spot. But Walter, after 14 weeks, the scores were low. This week, they were fabulous. Why such high scores?
Well, I think part of it was the way they oiled the lanes. It was basically a little bit more heavy oil in the center lane, which is closer to what you see in your league condition. And the pros can strike when you get a condition like that, and we did. All
right, we'll see some more strikes today, and we'll show you how the PBA will attack the championship pair. The oil is down 41 feet today. Oil in the center of the lane. Now, as Walter said, there's a little bit of dry area. It starts on the outside around the first arrow and continues all the way down to the last 19 feet. Ideal scoring environment. A bunch of different lines to the pocket. Tournament leader Walter Ray WiIlliams Jr. coming right off the edge on the very first board into the 1-3. Dave Ferraro coming right down the first arrow. Our power players, who you'll see in the first match, are playing somewhat towards the center of the lane, over between the 2nd, 3rd arrows, out to the edge, back to the 1-3. Chris, a lot of great scores and a lot of money at stake.
Yes, here in the Tums Classic, the breakdown of the 160 total. 31,000 of the winner, 16 runner-up, 9, 7, and 6. Bob Benoit making his first television appearance this year, shaking the hand of Bob Vespi, 4th television appearance of the year. Here's the man of 1988 300 fame, Grand Prairie, Texas. Very smooth. Bob Benoit bowling out of Topeka, Kansas. 37-year-old professional. Up steps now quickly 24-year-old Bob Vespi, who in the 3 previous telecasts, Bo, was the top seed and finished 2nd all 3 times.
This is the first time he had to fight through the field to get to the top 5. He performed brilliantly in the last 16 games of match play on Friday. Let's see what he can do on Saturday. He's never won a game yet.
This match is all even. After one frame, Bob Vespi of Plantation, Florida, watches a shot from the profile view.
One of the unique styles in the sport of bowling. Watch how he cocks his wrist and bends that elbow. And look at this position. I've never seen that in any pro bowlers, yet he's all squared away here. Look at the knee in good position. Then he drives through the shot with that tremendous wrist action. And Chris, they say he has more revolutions on that ball than they have down in Argentina.
Good line, Bo. And the man who has 6 Southern Regional titles to his credit has doubled, putting a little pressure now on Bob Benoit. 16th television appearance. 3 titles. Just didn't come up.
If there's anything different on the championship pair, the players all coincided that the right-hand lane, lane 28 in this 44-lane center, is a little bit tighter. Now you see Bob Benoit's angle. You see the angle he takes. He has that cupped wrist. He's going to play it out around in this area and drive through. The ball doesn't quite come up. He has a real solid style, but has a tough split here in the second frame.
Benoit. Who won with Del Ballard last year, the doubles in Beaumont.
The big hook ball favors Benoit here as he cuts through the 2 and 8, and the ball cuts right through, taking out the 7-pin. Good shot for Benoit, but yet he trails by 10. Now, watch Benoit's position on the lane. He's the extreme left side of the lane. He's going to slide in this area, and once again, we're going to see that big hook out over the second arrow to the edge. This is the lane that everybody likes.
Back in the pocket. And Bob Vespi is up and getting ready to go. Benoit, who won $116,000 last year with 2 victories. The doubles title with Ballard, and then again the Bud Light Classic in Sunrise, Florida.
Check the grip of this young man. And the reason he can do this, he jams his fingers in. His thumb is actually all the way in. He is double jointed. When he pushes that ball away, his thumb becomes unjointed and his elbow bends. That's the way he can get that power.
Leaving a 3-6-10.
His striking ability has never been questioned by anybody, but his spares are very marginal. He could possibly be among the All-American spare missing team. If you name 5 guys out here who miss a lot of spares, he'd have to be one of them. That's one area he can improve in. Let's see what he does here in the third.
Ooh, chopping the 3 and 6 off the 10, an open frame for Vespi. Bob Vespi, 4 championship round appearances in '92, but low scores each time. Why hasn't he been able to put it together?
Well, the first couple times I was on the show, I was real nervous, and the lane condition was totally opposite what I'd been bowling on all week. So, along with the nervousness and the lane conditions not being the same, I had some bad games, and I have a lot of things to bowl for, in my future and my family, and my grandmother's recuperating from open heart surgery, and this one goes out to her.
And that was one for Grandma, indeed. We're at the Tums Classic, Windsor Locks, Connecticut. Take a break. Meanwhile, as we go away, look at the Bradley Air Museum nearby, just 2 miles from Bradley Bowl, housing that Jeep. Oh, a few miles in that one, Nelson. And a lot of aircraft from the big war and 20th century planes and helicopters as well. Capacity crowd at Bradley Bowl in Windsor Locks, Connecticut, battling our first game for the Tums Classic Championship. Leading by 5 pins, can increase it to 15. Strike up, here is Bob Benoit.
The 10, he went a little light in the second frame over there, left the 2-7-8 and made it using the hook ball to convert the 2-7-8. Now watch what Benoit does here on his spare shot as you see his release from the low angle. Leaves what we call the soft 10, 6 not quite having enough leverage on the 10 pin. Now he'll throw a flat straight shot across the lane. This is one of the part of the bowling tip this week.
Okay, Bob Benoit had a special interest before joining the tour, and he plans to expand on it in the future.
Well, when I wasn't bowling, I owned a body shop, and I used to fix foreign and domestic cars, and then I got into specializing in Corvettes. And then after a while, I decided to go out and bowl, and when I'm done here, I'd like to get into building street rods. I'd like to specialize in hot rods and street rods.
So he's crossing over in the classic car business just as he did here on the left lane, Bo.
You're right, Chris, and his buddy Robert Lawrence won the U.S. Open with that shot last week on the final ball, and I'm sure Bob Benoit has been practicing that all week long in case he really had to pull out all stops.
Now Vespi, strike up, can take the lead, trailing by 5. E2 with a 10 on the right lane.
Hey, good shot. Make a good shot, don't worry about it.
He's trying to talk himself into good shots. He did make a good shot. I'm sure he's conscious of those low scores he's had in previous rounds. 133 at the National Championship, a 150 game in Las Vegas, and a small 200 in Winter Haven, so he needs to improve.
Did the shot rather quickly, but gets away with it. As we look at his dad, Joe Vespi. Bob was born in Albany, New York. He has a lot of fans, and as I pass through the Fort Lauderdale airport, often the baggage handlers, Fort Lauderdale just love this guy because he's from nearby Plantation.
You're right, Chris, and watch the angle he takes over here, the big hook.
Yes, baby! Come on!
Throw it good. That's what you got to do.
The beauty of the wireless mic on Vespi. Bob Benoit, strike up. Okay, he talked about the street rods. Let's take a look at a 1923 in its beginning of restoration. 1923 T Roadster, 350 Chevy engine, 671 blower on 2 600 Hollies, $5,000 worth of chrome, $8,000 in the engine alone.
Easily affordable by Bob Benoit, who won $100,000 in one day with a 300 on ABC television at the Quaker State.
The man that can restore cars beautifully now has to restore what happened on that last shot. Bo, this is a little tough, isn't it?
Well, it's a tough shot. It's a little bit tougher than the previous baby split he converted. He has the 3-9-10 here, and he needs his hook ball to get it between the 3 pin and have the ball carry out both the 9 and the 10. A lot tougher. Needs this to maintain his lead.
Two beautiful shots. We're in Windsor Locks, Connecticut, and of course, to all of you, it's a good time to wish each and every one a happy Easter, happy Passover, happy holidays.
Stars, plus the last major derby prep, next on ABC's Wide World of Sports.
Well, Chris, he converted the 3-9-10. Watch how the ball gets into the 3, deflects into the 9, then back into the 10. Most people don't know that happens that way. So now Benoit made a great shot up on the approach now. Vespi is ready to go.
There's a facial shot of Benoit. 3-9-10 earlier. He had a 2-7-8. So Bob being very accurate today. Vespi trailing by 12. Strike up. Can cut it to 2 right here. And the game is on. Nelson.
Thank you, Chris Schenkel. Jimmy Keith, another power player. Who would you rather bowl? Would you rather bowl your real good Floridian friend Bob Vespi or the experienced Bob Benoit?
Well, it doesn't really matter to me. I'm here to win, and it doesn't really matter who I bowl. I'm just here to knock 10 down at a time, one frame at a time, and that's the way it's going to be.
All right, he's confident. We'll see who he bowls. It's all power players in the first 2 matches, Chris.
To take the lead on the left lane, Bob Vespi.
Come on, Bob. Do it good again.
All right. Helps occasionally to talk to oneself, especially when you're competing on this level. It's for the Tums Classic Championship, $31,000 the winner. For the 10. All right. Jimmy Keeth will meet the winner of this match. Then it's Dave Ferraro, his 7th telecast of the year. And then our tournament leader, Walter Ray WiIlliams Jr. There is Bob Benoit. Earlier in the year, we showed their wedding from a chapel in Las Vegas. Lorinda, originally from Newcastle, Indiana, where she was a pharmacy technician, has done it also in Topeka. She's also one of our teammates. When Bob isn't on the telecast, she, along with Kim Weber, are just invaluable helpers here. They do so much hard work for all of us.
As Benoit comes up in the 9th, leads by 3, can extend to 13. The match is up for grabs. Benoit sliding by on the right-hand lane, kind of a little levity to the shot, but really it was an important shot because he needed that to put some real pressure on Vespi, who has really been unlucky. What he has to do is get the ball between the 2 and 5, let the ball not take out the chop the 2 off the 5, and has to take out the 8. Needs this to maintain his lead.
2 split conversions, and now the bucket, Bob Benoit. First telecast of 1992. It's hard to believe.
Textbook shot here. Benoit converting 3 very tough spares so far. He converted the 2-7-8, the 3-9-10, the 2-4-5-8. But right now, Vespi has the chance to shut him out.
Can't I ever throw it good? Come on now. Throw it good every time. Do it one more time.
A little self-lesson there, questioning why he can't throw it good every time. We all would like to know that answer. If he converts this spare, he would trail by 4. The match will go to the 10th frame, whoever can strike.
Okay, next Saturday on ABC Sports, the Pro Bowlers Tour returns to Akron to crown the champion of champions. That's right, 52 tour winners will be invited to challenge for bowling's most exclusive title, the $300,000 Firestone Tournament of Champions. That's live next Saturday, right here on ABC.
Vespi has not qualified for the Firestone. Neither has the man who will be in the next match, Jimmy Keeth. Now, 10th frame, Vespi trails by 4, needs 2 strikes to take the lead.
Come on now!
Bowling today for his grandmother, who underwent open heart surgery, and for his dad, who is in attendance here.
You gotta like this reaction. Look at this bowling ball. When I said it had revolutions, we counted almost 18 revolutions as that ball enters the 1-3 pocket. And when you have that much power, it's easy to get that adrenaline flowing.
Can't throw it good. Can't do it.
Well, if he doesn't think that's good, I don't know what is. He's left 3 solid 10s in this match. Each one of them could have given him the lead, and right now he is trailing by 4. So all at best we would have to do would get at least 17 pins in the 10th frame, and he would be the winner.
Very loose, Bob Vespi of Plantation, Florida, 6 Southern Regional titles. And now, Benoit.
All right. That's the shot he's looking for. Send it wide. Get it out to that edge board and let it flip back. Now Bob Benoit just needs 7 pins on 2 balls, and he'll advance into the second match against Jimmy Keeth. Bob Vespi is going to be 0-4 here in the 1992 season and not make appearance in the Firestone Tournament of Champions next week.
There's 7. Okay, a 203 for Vespi. We'll have the final score of Bob Benoit as ABC Sports presentation of the Professional Bowlers Tour will return after this message and a word from our ABC station.
Rich Tums. Tums helps wipe out heartburn and gives you calcium. By Toyota, reminding you to always buckle up. Do it for those who love you. And by Bud Light, everything else is just a light.
Here in Windsor Locks, 6 strikes for each professional. A victory for Benoit, 207 to Bob Vespi's 203. So now it's Jimmy Keith, another flirt-in going against Benoit. Next week, Firestone Tournament of Champions. 52 champions, all winners, will be battling, and here are their names. And in most cases, they are very familiar names in the bowling world, and of course on our ABC Tour telecasts, they are multi-winners. Just look at them. Eric Forkel, the leading money winner here this year. Walter Ray WiIlliams is our tournament leader today. You know, Tums, our sponsor today, is offering a $2,000 Man on the Bubble Award this week, for which Butch Soper is eligible. Now, should Jimmy Keith win the next match and go on to win the tournament today, he'd earn a berth into next week's Firestone Tournament of Champions. And Butch would be bumped from the exclusive 52-man field. If one of our other 2 finalists win, since they're already eligible for the Firestone, that Tums Man on the Bubble Award of $2,000 would be applied to the PBA's Billy Waylew Scholarship Fund in memory of our first regular expert on our telecasts. As Jimmy Keith throws the first shot, leads a 2-4-5. Billy with us for 13 years, and delightful Bo Burton has been with us ever since. In fact, Bo, this house is familiar to you because you won the first 2 tournaments here.
Won the first 2 tournaments in 74 and 75, Chris.
And of course, he won a total of 17 in every Hall of Fame that you can imagine, and so is our scorekeeper today. Bowls from the other side, John Petraglia. Thanks, John, for helping us.
Let's see if Benoit can loosen up. He was pulling a lot of shots in that first game. He needs to send it wide. There you go.
Okay.
There is no particular trick on this championship pair. Just stand left with your feet, Bob. Trust the ball to the right. It'll come back. He did it all week long. He shot some fabulous scores to get there. And if he can get zeroed on this lane, loosen up, this is where we see some big numbers.
Shot the 300 in 1988. His very first telecast to Mark Roth's 255. Title game. He won Quaker State. Bob Benoit, if you just joined us, defeated Bob Vespi 207 to 203. Now it's Jimmy Keith, his opponent from West Palm Beach, Florida.
They call Jimmy Keith the Rocket. Nobody throws the ball harder at spares than Jimmy Keith. He has a tremendously powerful bowling ball, which he'll show you on this shot, but without hooking it very much. Once again, it's all in the revolutions.
I hit, leaving the 3-6-10.
Keith, one of the real power styles on the tour. He starts with that 5-step delivery. Watch how he disjoints his wrist, much like Bob Vespi, his buddy from Florida. Look at this position. Actually, the ball is setting on the wrist. Look at the pivot step. He's right in position to drive through, and he just rolls the ball off his wrist. That's where he gets the power.
And again, we see a 3-6-10 chopped off. Or we see a 3-6 chopped off to 10, Bo.
You're right, partner, and it's an identical shot that Vespi missed on the same lane to open the door to allow Benoit to win the match. Now let's take a look at how Keith is playing the lane. He throws the ball with as much hook as Vespi if he throws it as slow, but once again, Keith with a lot of speed, over 20 miles an hour. He's standing here. He'll be in this zone. He'll cross around the second arrow. Watch these angles. He'll drive the ball through there. Chris, these bowlers are just plain bowling bad today. I bowled on this championship pair. I bowled on it Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and twice in the tournament. It's an ideal pair of lanes if you don't pull the ball. Everybody has been pulling it. Benoit seems to have loosened up now.
What speed by Jimmy Keeth, West Palm Beach, who took a year and a half off to get away from the life on tour. Second here, however, in WIndsor Locks at Bradley Bowl in 1987. 5th telecast overall. 16th for Bob Benoit. Ten on the right.
Okay, at least Benoit's putting the ball in the pocket. If you watched the first game, you were watching Benoit kind of sneak by Bob Vespi with some good breaks and great spare shooting as he made 2 splits and a 2-5-8 spare in the clutch 9th frame. Now he's trusting the ball and he's in the pocket. Cross lane for the 10. He would have a 34-pin lead.
Oh! Who says body English doesn't work? Next, ABC's Wide World of Sports returns to Cancun, Mexico to discover who's the best all-around athlete. The final challenge of the Jeep Superstars, plus the last major Derby prep race, the Wood Memorial Invitational, presented by Kawasaki, live, all next on ABC Sports.
The Wood Memorial Speed Race. Whichever horse gets out in front will be tough to beat. Now, Benoit, 4th frame.
And now, Mr. Benoit has a problem.
Hello, the 7-10, the swishing 7-10. Benoit will just go for one of the pins. He'll still lead by 22 pins if he knocks one down. And here's Roth, did it once. We saw John Mazza do it once again on ABC. I don't think Benoit will go for it. He doesn't have that type of power. He's just going to try to knock one pin down.
All right. This is our second match of the Tums Classic in Windsor Locks, Connecticut. This break, and then we'll be back. For all these superstition bowling fans, here's an Elvis tune from 30 years ago.
Showdown, the $300,000 Firestone Tournament of Champions next Saturday on ABC Sports.
Here in Windsor Locks with Bob Benoit up, Jimmy Keeth in the 5th frame, left the 3-10, chopped the 3 off. This man leads by 33 pins now. 5th frame for Bob Benoit. Here we go again, 2, 7, 8. It's all right, Bob. You know what it's all about. Bob has really had his situations today, his leaves here. This one's on the right lane. Won the first match if you just joined us, 207 to 203. Had 6 strikes in the game. Here he goes. All right. A little lesson by Bob Benoit. In fact, Bob is with Bo on his tip of the week. Here is Nelson.
Thank you, Chris Schenkel. Dave Ferraro, you'll be in the semifinal match. Dave, I'm shocked at the scoring. The players just plain look like they're bowling bad to me. What's your opinion?
Well, judging by the practice round, I had a good shot, and most of the guys did. Now, if the oil changed around, that's one thing, but I plan to bowl a good score.
He's not worried about the other players, Chris. I think their game is off, and they better get it together if they're going to handle Ferraro. Back to you.
Kingston Flash will be ready. From Topeka, originally from Dallas. Two accurate shots by Bob Benoit, who is in the lead over Jimmy Keith, who is struggling more than any of our 3 bowlers that we've seen today. Here's Jimmy again. 24 years old. Okay, Jimmy Keith disappeared from the tour in the late 80s, and now he's coming on strong and feeling confident about his chances today.
Well, I was home for 2 years, working. Come back out here, new improved. Spare game's a lot better. The strike game this week was unbelievable. I've never been this comfortable in probably all of my life. And it's just, nothing's going to stop me today.
Right now he's stopping himself as he trails by 33, 7th frame. He can cut the lead to 23.
Okay. Finally, Jimmy Keith says, his last television was 1989, the Showboat Doubles Classic with Ray Perez. They finished 3rd.
You want to see some power, you just can't get any more than this. Watch what happens to these pins. He just dissects the center of the rack. The 6-pin twists around, knocks over the 10. He's back into the match.
We'll be back. Windsor Locks, Connecticut, on this day before a holiday. Stay tuned.
The last major derby prep, next on ABC's Wide World of Sports.
Battle for the Tums Classic Championship is underway. Bob Benoit leading by 23 pins after a victory in the first game over Bob Vespi, 207 to 203, has a double working, shooting in the 8th frame. I'm sorry, Bob had a strike up, not a double, but now he has doubled.
Benoit finally looks like he's settled down. He was relaxed on it. You can see the expression on his face, nice and smooth. Now here's how he got there. Round 6, the final 8 games of the championship round. Look what he averaged. He won all 8 games, defeating his opponents, getting 30-pin bonus for each victory, plus a 255 average. Now he's won his first game over Vespi, has a chance to put Keith on the ropes here, 8th frame.
Good reason to hold your head.
You know, this unusual split, we've had it a number of times in the last month on the PBA Tour. The 3, 4, 6, 10. You need to get the ball over to the right of the 3-pin, drive that 3 into the 4, and the ball will take out the 6-10. A tough shot, but only the big hook ball players leave this type of split. Right now, Benoit would have a slender lead if he doesn't convert. Well, Jimmy Keith, he needed that opening. He struggled through the first 5 frames, and he just overpowered the pins in the 6th and 7th frames. Now he comes up in the 8th frame with a chance to put this match back in perspective. One more strike, he will only trail by 7 with 2 frames to go.
Speed to burn. Whew. Jimmy Keith, West Palm Beach, Florida.
Well, I've watched Jimmy bowl for almost 6 years, Chris. I met him when he was a teenage bowler in West Palm. I bowled an exhibition. I asked for somebody to come out of the stands who was willing to bowl a pro. He says, hey, Burton, I can beat you. And here he is, a little 16-year-old, shot 268 against me, and he was great in the clutch as it went down to the final 2 frames. Let's see if he can do it in the big time right now against Bob Benoit. He needs this strike to take the lead.
Big time.
Hello, he's settled down. Benoit, the pressure has flipped back to him. Look at the lead he has blown. He had 33-pin lead just 4 frames ago. Now he trails by 3. The pressure's on him, 9th frame.
Just didn't come up and left the 2.
Well, a spare here, 3 strikes in the 10th would be an even 200 game. Right now, Jimmy Keith going at a 193 pace, so the match is still up for grabs. As you see Benoit's ball sliding by on the right, he has never really gotten loose and zeroed out here in the match, but he still has a chance to win.
And as you may remember, winner will meet Dave Ferraro in the semifinal game. Then in the championship match, it's going to be Walter Ray WiIlliams.
All right, Benoit, as the scoreboard shows, has struggled in the last few frames. 2 open frames in this match. Needs 2 strikes to take the lead, 10th frame.
A little feeble, but nevertheless.
Well, he gets a real good break. He throws a good shot. When you throw good shots, you often get good results. The head pin goes to the sideboard, and caroms off and takes out the 2, 4, 5, and 8. Now Benoit has put himself in a position where he'd force Jimmy Keeth to throw some strikes to win. Well, the 10-pin. Benoit could have taken the lead. Right now, he'll be trailing by 3 pins if he converts a 10. The only thing he can hope is that Keith gets less than 18 pins in the 10th frame.
Very carefully and smoothly. Covers the 10-pin. It's a 190 for Bob Benoit to go along with his 207 in the first game.
Well, Jimmy Keith, if he throws a strike, and that's the only safe place to go, would be the winner to go on to meet 7-time finalist this year, Dave Ferraro. Watch the stuff he puts on this ball.
Beautiful comeback here in this match. And remember, he had not been on television since 1989.
And he sure made the most of it. Benoit opened the door for him, but Keith took advantage as he struck 5 times in a row. And he made those pins look like twigs down there with that last shot. 20 miles an hour, 15 revolutions. He's a winner. He's going on to meet Ferraro.
I'm not sure. I think that may be the hardest shot and strike I have ever seen. This week, Bob Benoit joins Bo to illustrate the perfect time to go to the flat shot.
With touring pro star Bob Benoit, we're going to show you how you can become a more effective spare shooter. Bob, tell us what you do. You have the big strike ball, and you may have trouble with spares.
I have a lot of trouble with spares. If I try to throw my big hook ball at a 10-pin or any spare on the right side, it's very, very difficult to keep it on the right side and allow me to spare it. So the biggest thing that I do is I flatten out my wrist, I increase my ball speed and throw it directly at the 10-pin, and this will greatly increase my percentages of making the spare.
Thank you, Bob. We all know it's important to have a powerful strike ball, but to be a great player, you must flatten that wrist out, throw a little bit harder, and you'll make more spares and become a good player.
For ABC VCR. Classic moments in bowling history can be yours for the incredible price of $14.98 plus $3 shipping.
Things are hopping here the day before Easter in WIndsor Locks, Connecticut. Bob Benoit defeating Bob Vespi 207 to 203. Then Benoit lost to Keith 212 to 190. 7 strikes for Keith in the last 9 frames to come on to win. Now it's veteran Dave Ferraro that's in. The capacity crowd here at Bradley Bowl, and that's what we've experienced all year as we look at those that finished 6 through 24, Nelson.
Chris, the highest scoring environment all year long. Look at the average to make the top 24, 225. Tough Tony Westlake. They are a great winner. The Wizard ready to defend his championship next week. Pete Couture, local favorite, runs the pro shop here. Bowled a 300 game. Wishner, he showed him how to knock him down yesterday. Shot some big numbers. Steve Wunderlich says he's thinking about retiring after this year's winter tour. A local in 16th, Tommy Kreitz, solid. Scroggins, he won the Sacramento tournament. Pete Weber, warming up for the Firestone. Purvis Granger needs to work on his knee bend. Another local, Lassard, 21st. Parker Bone had a fabulous winter. He's ready for the Stone. Mark Williams, he's won the Firestone twice. Chris, he'll be tough.
Nelson Burton Jr. was the alternate. Next week. That's it. The $300,000 Firestone Tournament of Champions from Fairlawn, Ohio. The reigning PBA Player of the Year, David Ozio, will be there with 51 others to go. And the Spring-Summer Tour here on ABC Sports begins May 30th, 8 straight weeks. Prior to that, the PBT Spring Tour gets underway on May 23rd in Dublin, California. But we'll be with you May 30th. That's a week after live coverage of the Indianapolis 500. And here in Connecticut, Bo, The semifinal game, it ought to be one worth watching.
You bet, Chris. Dave Ferraro, nobody doubts his ability out here on the tour. Probably among the top 5, easily of the top players in the world right now.
And Dave Ferraro leaving the 7-pin on the left lane. Kingston, New York's finest.
Ferraro just steady for the last six or 7 years. Nobody realizes how tough he is because he never had a big run where he got in the championship round as many times as this year. But look at his record. Top 10 averages 8 years in a row.
Good Dave, his 37th telecast, and for a long while he's being watched up close and personal by his lovely wife, Gloria. You'll see her after a while. Now here's the man you saw in that match with Benoit. A thriller.
The Rocket, Jimmy Keith, 6 in a row to finish that game and close out Benoit.
Okay, big strike. Jimmy Keith. You know, we were all saddened this week with the death of a grand lady, Millie Levine, wife of past president of the Bowling Writers, New York journalist, and PBA staffer Jerry Levine. Millie was vibrant, and yes, she was beautiful. We'll miss her.
A great lady. Jerry Levine, also a great man. We miss you out here in the tour today.
Mm-hmm.
Now a settled down Jimmy Keith looks sharp.
Yes, he does. All right, after a spare now, we get another look at Dave Ferraro, who's been our leading star in a number of appearances this year.
The style of Ferraro, 5-step, very simple delivery, upright style. Now, he doesn't have the cup wrist like we saw in some of the other players, but look at the position of that foot driving straight towards the foul line. Look at the slide foot getting ready to go straight toward the line. The left shoulder comes back, the arm extends straight through to the target. Somebody's got to realize out here that this is just not a lucky streak Ferraro's in. He is just throwing good shots day after day.
Coming high and leaving the 3 on the left lane. Now we got this picture of Gloria. Gabrielle, not quite a year old, is here in the building and beautiful.
Kingston, New York, only about a 2-hour drive away from WIndsor Locks, Connecticut.
The players' wives keep the home fires burning.
Now Keith, who is on a hot streak as he has struck 8 out of the last 9 shots, can make it 3 in a row to start this game.
All right.
Those pins weigh 3 pounds 6 ounces, and yet Jimmy Keith is making those pins look like twigs down there. I mean, that is power. And the key is he has cut down his hook. His ball is going right around the second arrow. He's going out to about the 3rd board and right into the 1-3. Just a terrific shot by him. Bang, as he opens up a 20-pin lead over the tough Dave Ferraro. 4th frame coming. He's perfect through 3.
Not on tour as a 19-year-old. He's now 24. Leaving a 6-pin, the young man who has picked up 35 pounds between age 19 but it's muscle and power.
The only thing he complained about, Chris, last night, he was complaining about hamstring tightness. He gets very low profile at the line, and what happens with him is that if he gets tight, he's going to have a little bit of problem.
We're in Windsor Locks. In 1965, a Windsor Locks team was crowned Little League World Series champions, defeating Stony Creek, Ontario, Canada. The winning pitcher, Mike Roach. Were they happy in this little hamlet in Connecticut? Windsor Locks.
Sunday on ABC Sports.
That smiling gentleman is Alan Jones, Tums division manager, and this is the Tums Classic at Bradley Bowl, Windsor Locks, Connecticut. 10-pin. Dave Ferraro. Eight telecasts last year, including one right here where he finished second. Okay, Bo.
Thank you, Chris. Our tournament leader, Walter Ray WiIlliams Jr. Walter Ray, the tournament leaders, 3 wins and 10 losses so far, or 11 losses so far this year. What's the problem, and what are you going to do to change it around?
Well, I think there's a lot of different combinations. The lane conditions are always going to change a little tiny bit on TV. The players who just won, they've got the crowd behind them. Their momentum's going good, so that adds up to it also. And you know, it's just I'm just going to go out there, and I've got a good reaction still. So when I go out there, I'm going to strike as much as I can, and those other guys better be lucky.
All right, very confident, Chris. Back to you.
Okay, and Dave Ferraro, confident going in, continues to mark, but he's trailing by 21 pins against Jimmy Keeth, who defeated Bob Benoit in the previous game, 212 to 190. Now a 10-pin for Keith, Bo.
You're right, Chris. And in the announce booth with us is Jimmy Keith's good friend, Bob Vespi, who was in the first match. And Bob, if Jimmy has any shortcomings in his game, is it a spare ball, he loses concentration, or what can he mess up here?
Well, his first ball is so intimidating, Bo. I think he just needs to get a little self-confidence. Last night he was reaching for the show, and he went like 3 and 5, and he was just so intimidating the first 8 games to get there. And when he gets his self-confidence, he's awesome.
We're followed by ABC's Wide World of Sports. We return to Cancun, Mexico to discover who's the best all-around athlete, because it's the final challenge of the Jeep Superstars. And then live, the Wood Memorial Invitational presented by Kawasaki from Aqueduct, New York. It's the last major Derby prep race. That's today live, following us.
All right, Jimmy Keith, 20-pin lead, 6-frame semifinal game. Well, Chris, that's what his buddy Bob Vespi just said. If he can keep it loose and stay relaxed, he's just awesome. His strike ball has never been questioned, that's for sure. Now Ferraro, the experience, the confidence, the determination, trails by 20.
All right. Dave Ferraro has a prescription for how to coordinate family life and life on the road as a pro.
Well, being a family man definitely comes first. Bowling then comes second. This week it's been close, so my family is here, my daughter Gabrielle, and my wife came to watch me. And I think it's been an advantage this year. The schedule has been so close to home that I've been able to go home weekends and see the family. I think that contributed to me bowling so well this winter.
Another.
Boy, he didn't want that 10-pin to stand on that shot. Look at this game. He struggled a little bit the first 3 frames, and his experience showed up. 10-pin, solid 10 in the 5th, strike in the 6th, another solid 10 in the 7th. Wow.
Okay, semifinal game. Walter Ray WiIlliams waiting to meet the winner of this game. We'll be back.
Begins next Saturday on ABC Sports.
16th stop next week and final stop on our winter tour. But we'll be back 30th of May with the Seattle Open here on ABC. Right now, Jimmy Keith. Strikes when it's needed, Nelson.
Yeah, big shot against Ferraro. Jimmy Keith knows how tough Ferraro is out there, especially in the championship round. And Ferraro is zeroed in. He's nailed the last 4 shots. He's only got 1 strike to show for it. And Ferraro has, as he looks at the scoreboard, has a potential 228. Right now, Keith going at a 228 pace. So it behooves Jimmy Keith to keep striking.
In Connecticut, where there are a lot of antiques. That's why we want to thank the Society for the Preservation of New England Antiquities, who hosted us at the Henry Bowen Estate at the beginning of our show. It was as perfect as that strike. And our host of the day was Pam Russo, and we thank her as well.
Dave Ferraro just leaving some 10 pins. That's the characteristic of this house. Easy to hit the pocket, but you can leave some 10s.
For Dave today, strikes have been hard to come by, believe me.
Mandatory that Keith strike right here.
Kim Zumeskel, world all-around champion, performing from Paris on ABC Sports, going after the 92 gold in the World Gymnastics Championships tomorrow at 1:30 Eastern. And then World League football is also tomorrow here on ABC. Tell you more about that in a little bit. There's a 7-pin for Dave Ferraro.
A disappointed Dave Ferraro. You can see the look on his face. He needed this strike to stay in the match. The ball comes in light, hits the 1 and 3 pins. Now watch the action of the 5. The ball's going to impact the 1, 3. There's the 5. Doesn't quite have enough impetus to get over the 7. Ferraro in trouble.
In that World League football, regional matchups, the Montreal Machine taking on the division leader Orlando, or you may see the Ohio Glory traveling south to meet the San Antonio Riders. All that football action and gymnastics, 1:30 Eastern, 12:30 Central on ABC Sports.
Keith, the possible 268.
Look at him.
Well, once again, I address Bob Vespi. Jimmy Keith, Bob, is on a roll. Does he have the ability, Bob, do you feel, to keep shooting 260, 260, 260 as he used to shoot in the big numbers?
Most definitely, especially in this house. You've already said if you can get the 10 out, you're going to slow a lot of strikes. The whole field averaged 230 in the finals, and that just goes to show you that we can throw some strikes when you put the good shot out in the gutter.
All right, Bob, how about Jimmy Keith? He's going to bowl Walter Ray for the title. Do you think he'll, as we say, apple up in the clutch?
Nah, I think he's over his... He's got it under his belt from the one time he finished second here to Bob Hanley, so I think he's going to take that experience and take it to heart and win this one.
Now you hear some pinfall. That's our tournament leader, Walter Ray WiIlliams, staying loose off to our right. He averaged 242.
For 42 games.
Yes.
And I've seen him bowl on this championship pair all week long. He's really tough, but look out for Jimmy Keith. This is going to be exciting final.
Temperament appears to be just perfect, and for Dave Ferraro's 7th appearance on television this year, he met a buzzsaw.
You're right, and the buzzsaw is in that ball. When Keith can hit the pocket, the pins have no chances. He's going to be in the 260s. He'll bowl for his first championship on the PBA Tour.
Okay, ABC Sports presentation of the Professional Bowlers Tour. We'll return after this message and a word from our local ABC stations.
Race leading up to the Kentucky Derby. Now, in sports news, today in Paris at the World Gymnastics Championships, American Kim Zumeskel won the gold medal in the floor exercise. She's the first American woman to win an individual gold medal in an apparatus final since 1978. You probably remember that last year, Zumeskel became this country's first women's world all-around champion and was also named Wide World of Sports Co-Athlete of the Year. You'll see Zumeskel's gold medal performance tomorrow during our coverage of the 1992 World Gymnastics Championships beginning at 1:30 Eastern. But right now, stay with us today at 4:30, remember, Eastern Time for ABC's Wide World of Sports. Now let's get back to Chris Schenkel and the final match.
Now here's a Tums Classic recap. Bob Benoit defeating Bob Vespi 207 to 203. In the next match, Jimmy Keeth, who hasn't won on the Pro Tour yet, defeated Benoit 212 to 190. Mr. Keith gets wound up, and look what he did. 267 to 208 to eliminate a great champion, Dave Ferraro. Now goes against another for the Tums Classic title, and Walter Ray WiIlliams will be a formidable foe. So are all the 52 champions at the Firestone Tournament Champions Bowl, and one of our most memorable events took place back in 1970, and the next voice you will be hearing will be that of the late Billy Whaley.
Chris, 25,000 in his pocket, 10,000 on this ball. Solid 10, Chris. Unbelievable.
And the very last ball, John Johnson, a tremendous hit. There's Marianne Johnson. Deep Mountain consoling her. It's just one pin away from an extra 10,000.
Well, Chris, that was an exciting moment in PBA history as Billy Whaley called the action. You saw also some great stars in there, as you saw Carmen Salvino and Barry Asho congratulating Don Johnson.
And Jimmy Keith, as we said, needs to win this match to be eligible for the Firestone Tournament of Champions. There's a great way to start. He had 15 strikes in the last 18 shots. So it's 16 of the last 19 now.
Here's a man averaged better than 240 on this championship pair all week long.
Winner of 6 titles, 1986 Player of the Year, 5 times World Horseshoe Pitching Champion.
Great natural athletic ability. Look at that concentration in his eyes, just riveted on the target. Very flat wrist. Now, Walter Ray can hook it if he wants to, but look at these positions. Look at that foot pointing right down the line. Drives straight through the shot, pulling the left shoulder back, the right shoulder through, and he's off to a good start. The match is even.
Big crank and a big 10-pin on the left lane.
Walter, who hasn't played a whole lot of hook towards the pocket this week, mostly angle coming off the very first board and using the angle into the 1-3 pocket to create the carry. By that time, didn't quite finish enough, leaves the 10-pin.
Walter is our top seed, our tournament leader, led from the very beginning. 4 of our 13 winners have won from the top seed. Walter, however, is 0-7 from the top spot.
The strike ball of Jimmy Keith. Can he keep it going for his first championship? This is only the second frame.
4.
High percentage with that power ball and the light hit, but when he gets up in that high zone, it decreases with so much hook in the back end. Keith does not trip out the 4-pin. Keith, a good, solid spare shooter. Watch the speed and technique he uses this. I don't recommend this much speed. It's almost some of his youthfulness, but the angle and the straight shot is great.
Jimmy Keith's best showing here in 1992 was 33rd in the Florida Open. Last time on television, 1989, Showboat Doubles, as he teamed with Ray Perez to finish 3rd.
Keith, a junior bowler, bowled in the Young Alliance program that's held by the American Bowling Congress. Has been a good bowler for a long time, has never won a championship. Bob Vespi, is he starting to push a little bit? The championship game, he's pulling the ball.
Seems like he's just trying to get it done a little too quick. Had the same problems myself, so let's just hope he calms down and takes it as it comes.
But with all that power that you and Keith have, why would you ever want to go high? Send it light.
That's just the art of the game.
That's pressure.
Bob Vespi, whose voice you're hearing, although he hasn't won, he has earned over $70,000 already this year, so we congratulate him on that. Terrific competitor. Walter Ray WiIlliams Jr. has perfected the outside line. Early he offered some advice and a prediction.
Well, to play the outside line, you have to really practice it a lot. And every once in a while, I will go to a house and just practice that. Even though the shot may be at 5 or 10 board, I'll be outside playing the 2-3 board just to practice it. And I think that's what you need to do, is practice a shot that you're not comfortable with to get better at it. And as far as today, I'm going to be tough to beat.
Well, he's been light and then high on that left-hand lane as a very colorful Walter Ray WiIlliams Jr. Which, you know, Chris, that looks like a flag from some country he's got on his there. What do you think of that shirt, bud?
It's early Easter.
He dipped that somewhere.
All right, Walter Ray WiIlliams Jr. going against Jimmy Keith in the Tums Classic championship game. More of it after this. PBA tournament. He's the tournament chairman again here. And Red Burnham, general manager, Bradley Bowl, a newspaper man. Two great guys that combined to come up with a Tums Classic that's been tremendous.
All right, Jimmy Keith seeking his first title. Needs this match to qualify for the Firestone Tournament Champions. Trails by 1, 4th frame.
The stylish Jimmy Keith.
You betcha. You watch the angles, that ball goes sizzling down the last 2 boards. And now watch the action, the head pin, it goes to the left sideboard. The scout, as they call it, comes across and takes the 10 out. Watch his reaction. Gotta like it. Bob Vespi nudged me in the announce booth. Chris, these guys take that strike for granted like that. I haven't had one like that in a month.
Woo! A man that has yet to win his first PBA title, Jimmy Keith. 3 regional titles, however. Here's a man with 6, the 1986 Player of the Year. I always call him the Errol Flynn look-alike. Jimmy Keith looks like a Hollywood star, too. Look at this. PBA all-time money winners, the millionaires. First 5, followed by this group. Look at that. Could add 31 to it today. So he is 32 years of age. He'll make it.
You're right. And David Husted, who is 9th, will go over the $1 million mark next week at the Firestone. Now, Walter Ray WiIlliams Jr. to take the lead by 1. 6th frame.
Wow. He's going to dislocate the shoulder. Whew.
In my opinion, the most versatile player on the PBA Tour. He can throw it hard, he can throw it slow, he can hook it big. On that particular shot, look at the thing he went through. He went stroke it, left the soft 10. Moved to the right on that left lane, left a 4-pin. The 6th frame, he just goes back to where he left a 4 and threw a rocket to the pocket. He now has a 1-pin lead.
This is like a great heavyweight championship match. A jab and a solid right.
And 2 different styles. The power of Keith against the accuracy and touch and experience of Walter Ray WiIlliams Jr. 4 frames left to determine the championship. The second Tums Classic and 31,000.
Here's a man with 19 strikes this afternoon on live television. Make it 20. He's going to pick up a lot of fans, isn't he?
You bet. This is the best I've ever seen Jimmy Keith bowl. I've seen him bowl in the qualifying with this demeanor. He crossed next to me in the qualifying this week. He started very slow in the tournament, averaging just 205. Came to life as he is against Walter Ray. But now the match is on. Who can win? So far, the power of Keith has been the difference. Walter Ray, every ball in the pocket. Jimmy Keith, every ball in the pocket. Yet Keith has a slender lead. Walter Ray has not been able to carry the 10-pin on 2 occasions.
Bob Benoit won the first game over Bob Vespi, 207 to 203. Keith came along and defeated Benoit, 212 to 190. Then Keith over Ferraro, 267 208.
The rosin bag at work in the hands of Jimmy Keith as we go into the 8th frame. Walter Ray trails by 20.
Did he lose it at the line a little bit?
Double dribble, Chris. He dropped it off the line. He still gets a good break. Ball bounces a little bit, but yep, there it is. And that is almost disaster, except for Walter being so accurate, still has a chance, slides the 5 in front of the 7. And this year, the man leading after 5 frames in every game has won 80% of the time. That man right now is Jimmy Keith.
Walter Ray against a real heavyweight, 195 pounds. And before we went on the air, I talked to Jimmy Keith about his fellow West Palm Beacher named Freddie Couples, who won the Masters last week. So I said you might as well make it a double for that area.
You bet. A lot of city taxes dollars going down that way.
Wow.
All right, the power of Keith, now the reaction. Bob Vespi, can your partner put him away right here? If he strikes here, it's a shutout.
Well, it looks pretty good right now. After you said he couldn't let it go, I think he heard you, and now he's really letting it fly now.
This could be the winning shot.
Oh, a 3-6-10. There's somebody who up to this point has won $1,955. He has a chance to not only win this, but qualify for the Firestone. And our scorekeeper named Butch Soper, he's watching with interest too.
Butch is the man on the bubble. He will be knocked out if Keith wins. Important spare here. Keith, a pretty good spare shooter for a power player, needs to convert the 3-6-10.
And the man on the bubble, Butch Soper, a Tums Classic $2,000.
Well, I'm sure Butch doesn't want to cash that in right now, and it really is determined by Walter Ray. Butch, watching the tournament at home in California, I'm sure, is rooting for Walter Ray WiIlliams Jr. to put some strikes here in the 9th and 10th frame.
A 6.
Well, Walter Ray, you are going to be another victim of a top-seeded player. The top seed has only won 3 times. He is going to lose 12 after Walter Ray loses his game.
Walter Ray, 0 for 8 from the top seed.
Well, the best he can do is 2-17 with 3 strikes in the 10th. Jimmy Keith just has to stay in the building. Even with an open frame, Keith will be in the 220s. Walter Ray, possible 217. Keith knows he has it won. I'll tell you, if Walter Ray could have had that happen in the 2nd frame or in the 7th frame, this would have been a different match. Right there, it's only a 10 pins. If that happens in the 2nd frame, it would have been 20 pins because it was to between strikes.
Walter Ray, 217.
Bowled great. Really had one shot a little bit off his hand there in the 9th frame, went high, but this man wins the money. That's a winner right there, at least 222.
6-year member of the Professional Bowlers Association with 3 regional titles. As a 19-year-old, his first telecast. This is his first of the year, his 5th overall, in an impressive fashion. Jimmy Keeth, Tums Classic champion, will be back. Bradley Bowl, but first, this message. Palm Beach Rocket is at the top. 31,000 for Jimmy Keith. Runner-up, Walter Ray WiIlliams next, and so on down the line. Powerful Jimmy.
Walter, you bowled great. I don't know even what to say. I'd like to thank Ken West, Red Durham. You run a hell of a tournament here. Tums, I'm going to need a lot of Tums tonight. I can tell you that right
now. An unsolicited commercial for a fine product. So with that in mind, with the smiling Alan Jones, who is Tums division manager, he has a very pretty trophy.
Well, on behalf of Tums and SmithKline Beecham Consumer Brands, I'd like to give you this championship trophy for your winning performance in this year's Tums Classic. Congratulations.
Thanks, man.
All right, and while that soaks in, here's Ken West, who has sponsored a tournament here since '69.
Along with the Tums Chalice, here's $31,000, and from the bowlers in New England, we welcome you as our new champion.
Thank you.
You're in the Firestone. Butch Soper in the bubble gets the Tums $2,000 check, and next week should be fun for you.
I'm looking forward. It's the highlight of my life right now. I don't know what to say.
Congratulations again. Walter Ray WiIlliams, the runner-up. Great champion. Here's the first-time champion, Jimmy Keeth. For Bo Burton, Chris Schenkel, see you at the Firestone next week.
Next on ABC's Wide World of Sports, the best all-around athlete will be crowned at the Jeep Superstars Finals. Plus, the Wood Memorial Invitational presented by Kawasaki live. The Pro Bowlers Tour has been brought to you by Calcium-Rich Tums. Tums helps wipe out heartburn and gives you calcium. By Toyota, reminding you to always buckle up. Do it.